Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this webinar on the Ohio Regional Youth Leadership Forum. It's a topic that we love and enjoy, and hopefully the word will keep getting out of what a great positive experience is for juniors and seniors in high school. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to get us started. And then I'll introduce you to Zoe Wank. In one moment, I get all these little pockets out of here. All right, my name is Deb Peterman, and I'm with the Center for Disability Empowerment. I am a transition coordinator and community connector. This topic today is on the Ohio Regional Youth Leadership Forum, and it is an information meeting. Below you see three logos. One is the Empower Youth logo, which is the Center for Disability Empowerment youth program. You'll see in the middle we have our great 10-year celebration for 10 years of service for the Center for Disability Empowerment. And to the right of your screen is a big red Ohio. This is the logo for the Ohio Youth Leadership Forum. On this page I have several logos. We can bring this program to you as a result of a grant from the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, their grant called the Ohio Family Network. With the Ohio Family Network, the goal is to help families get connected, whether to their immediate community, their community at large, and to each other. We are on the almost third year of the grant, and it has been a wonderful experience to see how people are networking and connecting. We are also using the Charting Life course tool for this one, which would be the trajectory, which is what is an important goal or something that you want to learn. And in this case, it would be students that want to be part of this YLF and to use that experience as part of their resume, whether they continue on with schooling or jobs or whatever endeavor they choose to seek. So who are we and what do we do at the Center for Disability Empowerment? We are a 501c3 non-residential independent living center that is driven by choice and direction of people with disabilities. We serve all people, all disabilities. So we are not limited to who we can help. We serve Franklin, Union, Licking, and Delaware County. Our mission at CDE is to provide supports and resources for people with disabilities in order for them to be participants and contributors and, excuse me, my mouth is dry, contributors in their communities as they live, learn, work, worship, play along people who do not have disabilities. We are federally mandated to offer 5 core services, but I add the and more because we do some more as well. There are 12 independent living centers in Ohio, and we all operate differently, but are required for these core services. One is information referral. I always say, if we don't know, we'll find out. We have independent living skills and development, advocacy, whether it's self or systems, transition services for youth, as in this program, transition services as a nursing home, and I'll add housing on there. We have a new healthcare outreach coordinator, and we have an employment specialist. We do not work directly with OOD, so we just find out what people are interested in and try to help them find a employment that they enjoy. And we have peer support and system support. So today we're going to be talking about the Ohio Youth Leadership Forum, and our presenter is Zoe Wank. Her pronouns are she, her, and hers. Her position at the Center for Disability Empowerment is the Youth Transition Coordinator. I'm going to get out of this, and I have some questions to ask Zoe, and I'm going to go ahead and pin you, Zoe, as we get started. All right. So where are my questions? Oops, did I lose you? I'm sorry about that. That's what happens when you multitask. All right, so Miss Zoe, I have some questions for you. Can you tell us how you are connected with the disability community?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for the introduction, Deb. I'm
Mhm.
happy to be here. Like Deb said, my name is Zoe. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a white woman with long brown hair wearing a black shirt. So how am I connected with the disability community? A couple ways, I guess. So I have a sister with a developmental disability, and that was my first introduction to disability, my whole life. Um, and then as I became an adult, I developed a disability, so I'm chronically ill. So that's my other connection to the community.
And you also have a degree. Tell us about that.
Sure. I went to the Ohio State University. I majored in women and gender studies, but I minored in disability studies. I only didn't major because we were not allowed to. It was not a major yet. Um, yeah, I went there. I started at the College of Worcester, but it was kind of a winding road to get to where I am now. But I knew disability was going to be my interest the whole time.
Mhm. And I relate with Zoe because we're both siblings, and we connect on that level. All right, can you say other disability-related experiences that you had?
Sure. So my last job was a tutor slash teacher for autistic kids. I did that for about 3, 4 years. So I worked one-on-one, tutoring kids, and it was called tutoring because they were, not a part of traditional classrooms. Most of the kids I tutored were homeschooled. So we worked one-on-one because that's just how their schooling worked. And then we worked on a variety of subjects: science, math, English, grammar, reading. I had a student who played trumpet, so we worked on that. Um, and a lot of social skills stuff.
You also do a book club, right? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. I forgot about book club. Book club, I'm a facilitator for a book club with adults with IDD. We meet Thursday nights, and we, instead of a traditional book club where you read and then you come and discuss, we read at each session.
So I know today we're talking about the Ohio Regional Youth Leadership Forum, but the name of the group that Zoe leads is called Empowered Youth. And I'm just going to tell you this, that next week on Tuesday at the same time, we're going to be talking about what they do with Empowered Youth. And she'll probably including part of that in this story about YLF. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to you, Zoe, and lead on.
Okay. So I wanted to start, I'll just kind of give a rundown of YLF and talk about what it is. And then I have a couple other things to show you at the end. So YLF, I can pull up the flyer just so everyone can see it. So there's a lot of information on this flyer. So I wanted to break it down and just answer any questions that come up. If you have a question, by the way, you can put it in the chat, you can interrupt me, whatever works. So it is for high school juniors and seniors anywhere in Ohio. The YLF that I am the site coordinator for is Columbus. So I think most or all of you are in Columbus. So that would be the appropriate YLF. But there is a virtual option if you are anywhere else in the state or you can't come in person. So just to put that out there. But our YLF is going to be June 5th through 9th this year. It is 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. each day. So, budgeting for drop off and pick up, it's like 9:30-ish. It's the earliest, I would say. So we're going to be at the Westerville Community Center for most of the days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday of that week. That Thursday, we are going to be downtown at the Vern Rife Center, which is across the street from the Ohio State House. So with YLF, we have a different module for each day. So it's kind of a different topic. One of the modules is leadership and advocacy. So we like to, because we're central in Columbus, have one day where we go downtown. So We'll be set up in the Rife Center for our meetings, but we're also going to tour the Ohio State House, which I'm really excited for. We did that last year, and it was really cool. Everyone said it was their favorite day. So we have the 2 locations. Westerville Community Center is our home base, so to speak. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday that week. Thursday is our day downtown. So that's the location, the dates. So how to apply. I will put the application in the chat, and maybe we can send it out in an email after as well if you don't have it yet. It's also on our website. You basically just fill out the long form, and then you need 2 letters of recommendation, and you will send all of it to me, right to my email. It's at the bottom of the form here, but we can also put it in the chat if you don't have it. That's the basics on how to apply. I'm the one who's looking over the applications. Once I have your application and all the information, I will set up an interview with you, the student. Parents, you're welcome to be there. And we will just go over logistics. It'll be like 15-20 minute interviews, nothing too serious or too long. As far as eligibility, it's pretty basic with one complication. So you have to be a junior or senior in high school, have a disability, live in Ohio. Those are the basics. But the other thing is that because we are partnering with OOD, I'm sorry, you have to either be eligible for their services or have an open case. So depending on where you are with that, I can work with you. If you have never heard of OOD, don't even know what they are, all we have to do is fill out a form that I have and have documentation that you have a disability, student has a disability, and we would send that into OOD, and that's all. If you already have an open case with them, that's great. We don't have to do anything else. The reason why I am it's important that you have a case with them. They help with job and transition services, which is kind of the whole deal with YLF. We want to build leadership, advocacy, employment skills so that when you graduate high school, you feel ready for the workforce or ready for college or wherever you want to go. But also they can help us with transportation. So transportation is a huge issue. And I am working on a lot of options for transportation, but OOD is going to be really helpful because they're going to pay for it. So that's why we're trying to get people eligible if you're not already. And reminder, if you have questions, put them in the chat. I can answer as we go because I know it can be a little complicated. So that's eligibility, how to apply. I also wanted to mention a couple exciting things I have on the agenda for this year. So we are going to talk about disability awareness. We have this small little form where we'll just talk about what is my disability, how does it affect me, how does accessibility affect me in the world, things like that, because we want to be aware and be empowered about our identities. We're also going to have a resume workshop. So everyone will be able to leave with a resume. It'll be a bare bones resume that they can add to, but at least get that started. We are going to have some very cool things, not just, jobby things. We're going to have adaptive race cars and adaptive race car simulators, which is so cool. I just did it last week and it's very cool. We're going to have adaptive technology. So they will learn about the options with technology, what's out there, how to use it, because a lot of it, you don't know until you know. We are going to do this tour at the State House and they'll get a little gift bag. We're going to do vision boards with Stephanie Woodward, who runs Empower Her network out of New York, which she's amazing. She was a speaker last year. We're also going to have a movie night on Zoom. So as long as everyone has a phone or a computer at home, they can watch the movie. And then we have a closing ceremony and graduation ceremony at the end of the week. Looks like we might have a question.
Zoe, does that include like a little certificate that they
Yes.
can take? Excellent.
Mhm. Yep, we're gonna make a little certificate and put it in one of those frames. I'm excited. Last year, the last day, we had to move on to Zoom for the last day because someone came down with COVID. So we couldn't really do the entire ceremony like we planned. So I'm really excited for this year to be able to do it in person. And yes, like Deb put in the chat, the location is completely accessible. It's also just really nice. They have a lot of facilities. So if you ever haven't been and you want to learn more about it, you can while we're there. So that's the gist. If you have a question, let me know. I'm gonna keep going, but just feel free to interrupt me. So last year, I wanted to show you a PowerPoint from last year, just so you can see some of the photos. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
So this is from some of the days at the Ohio State University. So I didn't mention, but last year we were at Ohio State, the Student Center on High Street, which was super cool. I loved that. I thought it was really nice to be kind of in that college environment. And I know everyone loved it too, they told me. So we've got some of our delegates here. We have delegates and peer mentors. So if you or someone you know is not a junior or senior, you can be a peer mentor, which is basically like a volunteer, but you have a specific job. Also, I didn't mention before, but if you are in Project Search and you don't have your diploma yet, you are still eligible for YLF. So basically, as long as you have not been handed your high school diploma, you are eligible for YLF. We've had some students last year and we have a couple this year who are going to be doing that. This was at the State House last year. This was our room. You can kind of see in the background, we were super high up, but it was very cool. You can see Ardo here with our shirt from last year. We're gonna have different shirts this year. Everyone gets one. This was one of our speakers. This day we had someone coming and talking about voting, which we're gonna have someone similar this year. And here was our group. It was such a great opportunity. And the other thing I wanted to kind of get into, so from YLF, we had 2 reunions Deb and I hosted at the community center in Westerville. And so we got the group back together twice and we kind of used that. I use that as momentum to start our Empower Youth program. So we're going to talk about that next week at the same time on the webinar. But Empower Youth is a program for young people with or without disabilities. So the goal is inclusivity. While YLF is specifically for students with disabilities, Empower Youth is about bringing young people together, whether they have a disability or not, so we can bridge that gap between segregation of students. So we had the reunion. We had 2 reunions at the community center. And from there, I was able to kickstart our Empower Youth program. And we meet once a month now, the last Wednesday of the month. I'm going to talk about it more detail next week. But a lot of the students who are in that picture, I think like 7 of them have been at our meetings. And it's a lot of fun. Sometimes we just hang out, but we also have information and continue those topics of leadership and empowerment so they can learn and ask questions. So that's kind of it. Does anyone have any questions? about YLF or anything?
I have a question.
Sure.
When you are talking about creating a resume, do you have a basic format that you're using? I'm sure you're probably identifying people's gifting and talents and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I am not doing the resume workshop. I have a speaker coming, but yes, that is the idea. They'll have just a very basic, this is like like you said, a structure, like, your name, your city, education, whatever. But we'll talk about how to include that information, what you should include, what you shouldn't, so that they can walk away with at least a base level understanding of that. One other thing I wanted to mention, completely unrelated to YLF, but I heard about this opportunity today. Share my screen again. There is a scholarship that was released for students with disabilities. So if you or your student is going to college or is in college now, they can apply for this. I will put the link in the chat if Deb didn't already.
I think I put it in the beginning of the meeting, but we can redo it.
Okay. But it's the Tony Coelho Media Scholarship. So it is for students with disabilities. It can be a self-identified disability. You don't have to have documentation. But it's for students interested in communication, media, or entertainment. So I know last year we had a few students who were interested in theater and who are going to Columbus State now. So I just wanted to put that out there. If you have a student or know someone, feel free to send this to them. The application is due May 22nd for this. Again, unrelated to YLF, but I wanted to make sure you guys had that information.
So Terry had a question. How many people are chosen to participate each year, and how many applicants do you usually have each year?
Sure. So we have a cap of 20 students that we can bring to YLF, which is why we have the applications. Sometimes we might get too many and then we have to choose. Last year we got, I want to say 15. And not everyone was able to come. So someone ended up having to work. Their transportation didn't work out, which was unfortunate. That was a separate situation. But yeah, so we can have 20 or any number under that.
What if a student needs a personal care attendant, or do parents need to stay with them? How does that, what does that look like?
Great question. We will have a nurse on staff every day if a student needs it. So last year we had them all day no matter what. This year we have a nurse if someone needs help with medicine, so needs to be administered medicine. But also we are going to have at least one person on staff who is CPR and first aid certified, who is myself. But we might have some other volunteers who are too. As far as personal care assistants, you are welcome to bring your own. If you don't have one but need one, that is on our list of things we will provide for you.
I think one thing I thought was kind of neat, one of the young men that attended YLF last year, I saw him at the Gahanna Resource Fair, and it was such a joy to see him again. Actually, there were two students, both seniors now, or maybe one graduated, but just to see that they're doing things to get experience in serving their community, so that was pretty fun.
And that's the whole idea behind Empower Youth and YLF. It's not a one and done situation. I mean, it's a great opportunity and it's just 1 week, but what CDE does and what I'm doing it doesn't end at the end of YLF. Like our whole goal is to create inspiration and ideas in these young people and give them the resources they need to go do what they want to do, and just kind of be here as their backup. So CDE, we work with students one-on-one, or young people one-on-one, and they're called consumers. I have a few consumers who either applied last year or went to a different YLF. Like one consumer, she ended up having to work, so she couldn't come, but we work one-on-one together now, and she's looking for housing, she's learning to advocate for herself, and she's doing amazing. I have another consumer who is doing the same thing. I have a meeting with her tomorrow. It's such a great way to build those skills, because a lot of times these students are in special ed classes, or they might miss out on certain conversations that they need to be a part of. So we want to make sure that they have that education and feel empowered to support themselves.
Does anybody have any questions? How many counties are part of this region?
That's a good question. There isn't a specific list. So it's basically go to whichever YLF is closest to you. So there's there's Columbus, there's one in the northeast area, northwest area, southeast, southwest. So there's 5 in person, and then there's one virtually.
So Ms. Tiffany asked, how many people have applied so far?
So far, we don't have very many applications. I think I have 2 at this point, but I know last year, most of them came in the last week or so. It's also a matter of getting the word out there, which is why we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you all have an OOD case, or do you have any questions about that process? If you don't.
My son has an OOD case,
Okay.
so we should be okay as far as that goes. I emailed you her name, but she's new
Yeah.
because our previous caseworker or case manager left OOD on like last week Friday. A week ago
Yeah.
Friday. So
Yeah.
surprised you got somebody new that I've never worked with and we haven't met with. So
Yeah, and I'll email you back about that.
and then I know that a bunch of your flyers were given to one of the kind of outreach people at Marburn Academy. So you might get more applications from some of their students.
That's great. Thank you.
I know she got a bunch of them, and she handed me one while I was at the Gahanna Resource Fair, and I'm like, okay, where's that? And I went across the way and got another one. So I have 2 flyers.
Okay, good. Good. I'm glad that people are handing them out.
I know. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, Zoe, we have transition coordinators in high school, but how could we get the information to guidance counselors? Because they're going to have a conversation, hopefully, with us students, unless things have changed over the years where the transition coordinator does everything. But I think it'd be really cool if we could somehow get guidance counselors involved, because they may know of some students who have disabilities that don't qualify for special education classes or.
Yeah, that's a good point. I am going to meet with the transition coordinators at Westerville in the next couple weeks, hopefully. So that's a good point. I will bring it up then.
I'm going to be emailing my son's school counselor because she might be writing his letter of recommendation, and I'm going to include the flyer as an attachment. So if there's anybody at the school.
Thank you.
If she
Thank-
hasn't gotten it from the person that was at the fair, she will get it from me.
Sweet, perfect.
Yeah, and speaking of the fair, we will be there. The date of that is next Thursday for the Franklin County Board DD Resource Fair, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll be there. So if you're there, say hi. I think it gets difficult getting the word out, possibly because it's hard for families to get connected in with their students in the same class because no one shares information, or we drop off our students and we pick them up. And so wonderful thing about the Center for Disability Empowerment is that we serve anyone, any age, with any disability. And so it's not typically tapped in by families who have students still in school through high school. So it'd be great if you guys could help us get the word out about the Youth Leadership Forum and the Empowered Youth group.
Tiffany said they do have an OOD case, so that's great. And you're meeting with your school soon. He's not ready to graduate, and that's perfectly fine. Are you guys interested in Project Search? Are you in Westerville? How do
I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
We're in Granville, and he didn't get in Project Search. There was too many applicants and he had a bad day, and he didn't get in. So now we're panicked. There was no plan B.
I'll send you an email. We
Okay.
can see what other options there are.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. The other thing, YLF, you can definitely put it on your resume. Since it's technically an application process, even though I'm not very selective and I'm not gonna not let someone in for the most part. I mean, really the only reason someone wouldn't get in is if they don't meet the eligibility or if our 20-person cap is hit, but I don't think we will. But you can definitely put on your resume. We'll have the graduation ceremony. What was I gonna say? Oh, the other thing, as far as YLF, because people have asked me last year and this year. So part of the eligibility says that you have to be interested in leadership or be a leader of some sort. But again, that is not going to affect whether you'll be accepted or not. Leadership is very different person to person, and I don't want that to deter you. So if you're interested, but you're like, I don't feel like a leader, do it anyways, because that's what we're going to talk about and work on. And it might be scary for some students, but it's such a great opportunity. I mean, I know last year there were students who weren't comfortable speaking with the group, so they would like type their comments because we had I don't know what it was, but a way to comment. So if you didn't want to speak, and now he's in the Empower Youth group and he talks all the time. He talks about how he wants to be a voice actor. So I think it's such a great way to be around peers in the similar situations as you are, or same situations, and build their confidence. So if you don't feel like a leader, don't worry about it. Okay. Is there any other questions or any concerns that are kind of preventing you from applying that I can address? Deb, there aren't any Facebook comments, are there?
Okay. I'm thinking about some families that may be concerned if behaviors happen. Maybe you can kind of touch on that.
Sure. As far as I'm concerned, how do I put this? I'm not concerned. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not concerned. I know behaviors happen. And I am very set on making this space as inclusive as possible. So if you are stimming, or you're upset, or you need to stand, or whatever it is, or you have a meltdown, or you need to leave for a few, do what you need to do. We had a student last year who would kind of like pace around the room. We had a student who wanted to like type everything as it was said. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. And the same with our Empower Youth group. Like, if you don't want to talk, you don't have to talk. If you need to talk a different way, you communicate a different way. You need an interpreter. You need a PCA person. It doesn't matter. Absolutely everyone is welcome. And I think the nice thing is, when you're in a disability space, everyone kind of gets it in a way that they don't when you're in like a non-disability space, where it's not disability exclusive. So it's very normal to us. And the other cool thing is, every single one of the speakers is a person with a disability. So they are people that your students or kids can learn from and hopefully be inspired by, because I know when I was that age, it feels like the world is humongous and where do I even go from here? But I want these people to be inspired so that they can become those people who are speaking at those events. We have one young person who was able to shut down a harmful, abusive clinic in Columbus, who's going to talk about his experience. And he is 20 something. He's very young. So I think it's going to be really powerful for the students to see someone so close to their age be accomplished and like going out there and making noise, So.
Zoe, one thing I can say, watching the process last year, having gone to YLF and meeting the student, and then us continuing with the nurturing and helping to provide safe spaces for friendships to happen. It's just so cool to see how they change as individuals coming into their own selves.
Mhm.
And, I know that they are in safe hands with you. You understand behaviors, etc. So getting back to our question, Terry asked, can the parents see the speakers, as I would be interested in hearing that person's story?
Sure. Yeah. I can give you his name and a news article about it. I'll email it to you.
I'm sure I would like to be there too. So I'm sure that some of the parents want us to come as well.
I know.
But
And as much as I would love them to come,
sorry, it's for kids.
but
for youth.
We're gonna have, swag, I guess you would call it. Everyone will get a t-shirt, which I'm working with a designer at an Autistic Run company. So I'm hoping the shirts are gonna be really cool this year. And then everyone's gonna have an agenda pamphlet with the speakers' names and bios and how to get involved. Like the adaptive race car guy, he is paraplegic. He actually knows one of our coworkers. He has a Wednesday night group from like 6 to 9. Play video games together. But it's so cool, and you're around people that are like you. So yeah, I'm very excited for it. It's just such a wonderful event, and I'm so glad that CDE is involved with it. It's a blast, and I get so much from it. These young people have so much to teach as they do to learn. I have to learn. It's such a great opportunity.
Will you be using the computer room at the Westerville Community Center?
I don't plan on it. So last year, we partnered with SOSIL, which is another center for independent living in Athens, I think they are, or Lancaster. Close around there. And they are gonna let us borrow some computers and iPads this year. Also, I wanted to put out there, very exciting thing I learned the other day. For folks who have an open VR case at OOD, so you have a VR counselor, so Rebecca or I think Melika was the other, I can't remember the names of all of your VR counselors, but if you have an open case, we will buy you a Chromebook or an iPad to have, to like own, which I just blew my mind because I wish that I was had something like that. But you know, if you need tech that would help assist you, and you have a VR case, we will get you one. So if that helps you want to be there, I think that's cool. I think you're muted, Deb.
And you were reading my lips. Sorry about that. So if you have any more questions, feel free to just unmute yourself. I do want to tell you about next week's Empower Youth information meeting. Maybe you can touch on a little bit of that, Zoe.
Sure. So next week, same time, same place. There's a new registration link, but it's April 25th, 4:30 to 6 webinar, just like this. Deb and I are going to be on here, but we're going to talk about the Empower Youth program that meets once a month, which is for young people with or without disabilities. And the loose age range is 14 to 24. Actually, all of the members now are 18, 19, 20, 21. So all of you, if you're juniors and seniors, you'll fit right in. And it's such a great group. They're hilarious. They talk about, you know, some of them have YouTube videos and TikToks. Yeah, it's going to be really cool.
So I have put the link in there for the next information meeting. It'll be at the same time next week, 4:30 to 6. And if you would be so kind, I'm going to send a really simple survey that would help to support us as we do grants like this, so we can give them some feedback. I probably have like 3 or 4 questions, very quick, and I'll probably send it to you tomorrow.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, we love talking about this and getting the word out there.
Thank you so much.
If you
for
think of
joining
any
us.
other questions, send me an email. If you send an application, send it to me. Yeah, I really hope you all come. It'll be really great.
We're gonna apply. Thanks so much.
Good.
Woohoo.
Have a great
Yeah.
night.
You
Yeah,
too.
I'm hoping that it helps my son with advocacy, but he's got an older brother that's severely autistic, and at some point he may have to be his advocate as well as his own. So
Yeah.
And
How
who-
old is the older
Who is
brother?
talking? Was that
Terry.
it's me, Terry.
Terry? Okay. So Terry, I'm a sibling, and so is Zoe. And I would love to send you some of the links to some of the presentations we had that were geared towards siblings for this grant.
Okay.
And if you
How
don't want to
old is-
wait, if you go to YouTube channel, plug in the Center for Disability Empowerment, and it'll pop up, and then click on the webs for the Ohio Family Network. You'll
Okay.
have fun looking at all the stuff we've done.
How old is the older brother?
He's 19.
Okay. And
And
he graduated?
no, he's still in school, and
Okay.
my husband and I are his legal guardians. We had to get permission to be his guardian, even though we've had him for 18
Right.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can definitely apply too.
I'm not sure he would do well in a big group of people.
Okay, all right.
Maybe next year.
He's
Yeah.
an eloper, so I'm not sure that that's the greatest, unless I can get someone to go with him, a provider or something to go with him.
If you
Um,
have any questions about that, let me know. But providers are more than welcome to come.
He's
Um,
he's got one, but I couldn't get anybody to commit for summer camp, let alone
Mm.
one of them committed last summer for 4 weeks of the summer, which was awesome. But this year I haven't got her to commit, so we're not going to camp this year.
Oh.
But he's got a couple of high school buddies that will be graduating this spring, and they're both interested in being a provider for him.
oh,
And
good.
I just need them to hurry up and turn 18 and then graduate, so I can
Mhm.
get them trained and they can be providers. But
Yeah.
one's going to be going to school or to college here in town, and the other one's going out of state. So
Okay.
he might just be available for breaks and summers, and the other one might be available maybe year round if I get lucky.
Yeah. Well,
But
all
if we
three
can
of
get
them,
them hooked up and stuff, I don't think we can get them hooked up soon enough for June. Because they're still in school, and I don't know if they're all 18 yet. So it might have to wait till next year, but he's a senior now. I mean, I would imagine the leadership thing, he probably wouldn't qualify for next year.
if he graduates, no. But all three of them are welcome to our Empower Youth group.
Okay.
Just to put that out there, and they can
I say
join.
the oldest will be I'm planning on him going till he's 21, but he's
Okay.
not, he won't technically be a senior all those years, I don't think. He's
It's
technically
okay.
a senior this year.
As long as he doesn't have his diploma, he can do YLF. So if he does like a social graduation, but doesn't get his diploma, he can still do YLF next year.
Cool. Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, we'd love to have them. And if either one of them or any of their friends want to come to the Empower Youth group, we have our meeting next Wednesday night at our office. They're welcome to come there too.
So that
Okay.
meeting is the day after our information meeting.
Yeah.
We kind of parked them right close together.
Yeah, and I'll send all the information during that meeting.
And Zoe,
Okay, yeah, 'cause I was looking at your flyer, it said April 26th, but you said the 25th, and I'm like, okay, now I understand, it's 2 different meetings.
Yeah,
yeah,
Where is the Empower Youth
it
meeting?
is at our office space. So it's 4400, I'll type it, 4400 North High Street. It's in Clintonville.
it's at the corner of Henderson and High Street.
Okay, and what time is that?
That is 6 to 7:30.
Right, Cohen's older brother goes to Ohio State. And like the other lady just said, he will one day have to advocate for Cohen as well. So maybe that would be good for him, and I don't know, even look good on a resume.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the flyer I picked up says you meet 6:30 to 8, so is it not 6:30
That's
to 8?
correct. That's the old flyer. I'm sorry. It is
Okay.
6 to 7:30. No, consistently 6 to 7:30.
Okay. Just
We
wanted
have-
to confirm, because otherwise we'd be half an hour late and staying
Yeah.
a half hour longer.
We had to change it because the libraries are normally where we meet and they tend to close at 8, so we can't book the space up until then, and it was like too complicated. And the 6 to 7:30 seems to work better for people, so that's why we changed it.
There are several restaurants right in that area that you could walk across the street, get coffee while the meeting's going on. So there's other opportunities of where you can go while you wait for your student.
Yeah, Old Bag of Nails, Jimmy John's, Chipotle. Well, if you think of anything else, send me an email. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Zoe. Thank you for joining us, and I will edit this and get it sent your way. With any other information that we may have touched on, I can put that in the email as well. Please again, consider taking the survey to let us know how well we did. Thank you
Great.
so much. Have a great evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Okay, so I need to stop.